What's up, y'all, man? This is 30 Mar, Certified Hustlers Podcast. Now, I mean, this podcast, we going to be talking about a lot of stuff. Just what's going on out here in the world, the streets, um, the environment, growing up in poverty, um, just being from the hood and how hard it is to try to be successful. And what I mean as successful, I mean that just, you know, setting goals and achieving them and how hard it is out here just to, not mean, be black. And racism and 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 a lot of stuff, man. So tap in, let's get started. Take a little sip. I mean, like I said, I'm from Chester, PA. I grew up in Sun Village, the East Side part. Um, and as a kid, man, I think I always was special. Like, I feel like one thing about me, man, I was always a hustler, man. I was always a hustler. I always knew how to get money. Like, towards though, I go to the corner store and buy chips. Cause back in the day, chips was 25 cents at the store. I go to the store and buy quarter chips, and I sit in the crib and sell them to all my family that come over there, my brothers and sisters. I'll be selling the chips for 50 cents, making a 25 cent come up. And and that's just like how I always was. Like, I'm talking about my mom coming home from work and I'm out front having a yard sale, selling books, selling candles, selling anything that I knew we didn't use like that. And my mom would be mad at me for that shit. Like, I used to sell my toys and shit too, but nah, I mean, it feel like more growner people brought my stuff at a young age. It wasn't like the kids wasn't buying toys, but them grown motherfuckers was buying them books off. They was buying books and stuff. They was buying them candles and that stuff that they can use around the house and stuff like that. And my mom would be mad at me, but she'd be proud of me at the same time, because she'll see me with all that money at that age. He'd be like, Joy, and just brag to all her friends and stuff like that. Like, Jamar, it's just like I was coming home with like Christmas gifts for my whole family at like 7. I swear to God. I did it one time. I ain't even gonna pump it up. I did it one time. I came home with Christmas gifts for my whole family. But I always came home with gifts for my mom for some reason. Like, I used to hustle and go buy my mom watches at 10 and buy her jewelry and necklaces. And I'm talking about real jewelry too. I'd be buying my mom real 10 karat gold chains at 10, 11 years old. So it's just like I always was a hustler. Like, I always knew how to get money. And as I got older, I, started leaning towards the streets more. So, now I mean, I started selling drugs and stuff like that. I started off with like a quarter ounce of weed. I swear to God, I had $25 and I brought a quarter of weed, and I started from there. And it was just like, it was easy. It was easy. It wasn't even hard. I feel like it was more easy for me because when I was 15, 16, I was like 16. I want to say I was like 16. So when I was like 16, when I first started hustling, I started off with a quarter, and it was easy for me because I was the only one out of everybody that didn't smoke weed. Like, I ain't drink, I ain't smoke. All I did was hustle. Like, everybody else smoked weed, so they was smoking their pack, so they wasn't making that much profit. I was making a profit because I didn't smoke. So, and I always felt like I was a hustler. I feel like couldn't nobody hustle like me, and I feel like at my age, at my 16-year-old age, I feel like I was on the level with the big dogs, because it feel like wasn't nobody doing the stuff that I was doing at my age. You feel me? So, I started off with a quarter ounce of weed. I flipped that. It was so easy. I sold that quarter in like 5 minutes. Like, I went from a quarter an ounce of weed to a half, start selling a half. It was just like money was flowing, and it just was so easy. Uh, Everybody else probably say, man, that shit was easy for me. I don't know why it was just so easy for me. I feel like it looked like it was hard. Everybody else made that shit look hard back in the day. Motherfuckers made selling weed look hard back in the day. That shit was easy for me. Like toward the, I jumped in the game and I started getting money instantly. Like I went from a quarter ounce. Ain't nobody ever front me nothing. I got all my shit from the muscle. So it was just like I went from a quarter ounce of weed to a half an ounce of weed fast. A half an ounce of weed, I went to an ounce. Mind you, I was taking losses. Cops was finding my pack and shit like that. Packs was coming up missing and shit. But I never like cried over that shit. It was like back in the day, I never like paid that shit when my pack went missing or the cops found my pack. It was just like I ain't ever paid that shit no attention. I just said, man, I'm gonna get a new one. I'm gonna get another one, or I'm gonna go wear my shit at and get more or some shit like that. So it was just like, man, I went from a half an ounce of weed to an ounce fast. An ounce of weed fast. I started grabbing a couple ounces, and then I started noticing, like, I started getting more attention. Like, people starting to notify me more. It looked like I smell like money. So women on me more. I'm getting more attention. Everybody looking like, yeah, that young boy getting money. Went from a ounce of weed to a quarter pound. So I started grabbing a quarter pound. I start you can feel things like you start seeing like you start seeing it like you getting bad energy from people from different hoods and shit like that, and you know when you get money, it attracts all types of stuff. So like when you get money, it attract women, it attract haters, it attract cops, it attract all that type of stuff. So it's just like, all right, damn. I never paid that shit no mind. Like one thing about me, I was always about my bread. I don't give a fuck about all that beef and shit. I was always into money. Like money was that's all I ever been about. And like money in my family, that's all I ever been about. So I went from a quarter pound, I started grabbing a half a pound. I said, oh shit. Now the big dogs really paying attention. Like, yeah, he doing his thing. Like, and ain't nobody fronting him because everybody else getting fronted and shit like that. Or they still playing with, halves and ounces of weed or and I ain't throwing no shade on nobody, but people going halves on quarter pounds and shit. And I'm already grabbing a half a pound. They started before me. So now once I start grabbing pounds after that, I started grabbing pounds at probably like I swear it had to be like 16, 17. So I start grabbing pounds and instantly I start pitting my homies on. Like, alright, I say, I'm gonna give you this, I'm gonna give you that, I'm gonna give you this, I'm gonna give you that, and we gonna get this money. And I remember like I was in my prime. Like I remember I was grabbing pounds of weed at 16, 17, and it wasn't nobody my age doing that. You feel me? And so it was just like I was one of the big dogs at a young age because I was feeding my whole block. I used to be on a block called McDowell. They call it Murder Ave. So I was like a big dog out there, mind you. So now I remember like, all right, so 17. You want to hear something crazy? I ain't even have a long run. I stopped selling. I swear to God, I started hustling when I was like 16. I stopped when I was like 18. Like that's crazy. Like I started selling drugs when I ain't even have a long run. It was like because like I just had my son at 18, and I feel like I was like, man, that street life ain't for me. You feel me? So I started falling back slowly and stuff like that. And I started realizing a lot of stuff about the streets. and it's just like you get tired. The street life get exhausting, and you'll get tired of carrying motherfuckers too. So it was just like the street life get exhausting. I knew it wasn't for me. I just had a son, and I wanted to be in my son's life, so I tried to change my life around, stuff like that. And that's one thing, reason why I'm doing this podcast, because I want people to know, like, it's easy to get in the streets, but it's hard to get out. It's easy to get in the streets. It's hard to get out. And it's just like once you jump off that porch, it's basically no turning around, because it's like, and people will get mad for you trying to leave the streets alone. Like, if you know, and you want to hear something crazy, I created a lot of chaos. So it was just like, when I wanted to leave the streets alone, a lot of people ain't want to accept that. And it's just like, the streets wasn't for me. Like, people don't realize that I was into money. That's what a lot of people don't realize. I was into money. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? If it wasn't about money, I ain't really want nothing. I was into money and women. Money and women, like it's crazy. Like, I stopped people doing from so much stuff. Like, I always like, yo, we get on this money, we on these bitches and shit like that. And that's what I hate about this world. And it's like, I was a baller. I feel like a dope boy back in the day. And I feel I ain't have a long run. And I did a lot between 16 to 18. And I feel like I was a baller. You feel me? I always was a baller. And I feel like that balling shit played out these days. And I feel like everybody want to be killers these days. But they don't know it comes with a lot with being a killer. You don't know once you kill somebody, you gotta watch your back forever. Especially if it's somebody from a hood that's gonna ride for their man that you just killed, or some shit like that. So people don't realize there's a lot that come with this street life, and it's easy to get in and it's hard to get out of. Like, the streets ain't meant for everybody. Like, it's okay to be cool. It ain't nothing wrong with being a cool person. It ain't nothing wrong with having a job. It ain't nothing wrong with being a family man. People, like, the rappers portray this street life as like it's fun. If you ask them motherfuckers if it's fun that they gotta look over their shoulder, I bet you they tell you no. I bet you if you ask them, do getting shot hurt? I bet you they tell you, yes, I got shot before. Getting shot hurt. It don't tickle. And that shit is not fun. People make that shit look, the internet make that shit look fun, so they making the youth wanna be street people. But that street stuff not fun. And I'm here to tell y'all, the street life not where it's at, man. And ain't nothing wrong with being cool. Like, growing up, all the people that was out here when I was going high school, I swear, man, all of them motherfuckers, and I don't mean to be said, I ain't trying to be cruel or nothing, but most of all them people is passed away. All the people that was out there that was front line and stuff like that passed away. These people ain't here. It's just like, so if you really look at it, this shit ain't worth it. Like, I seen some foul shit up in these streets, man. I seen some foul shit up in these streets, and I knew these streets wasn't for me because of what type of person I is. Like, I'm not perfect and I'm not innocent, but I got a good heart and I mean well, and I got a pure heart and I got good intentions, and that's why I say, and that's why I'm here on this podcast. You know, like, to steer people in the right direction. This podcast is for anybody that need guidance or need some knowledge about anything. I'm here to tell y'all, man, ain't nothing wrong with a normal life, and ain't nothing wrong with just getting money, or like all this stuff that you doing on the streets. You can do it being a family man. You don't gotta have, you don't gotta sell drugs to be a dope boy. You can have $10,000 and be working a 9 to 5. You feel me? You can start your own business and start more. Like, my cousin T started her own business and she blew past all these. But that's it, man. Certified Hustlers Podcast is Big Sturdy. I see y'all next episode.